But Brandon, let's move on into our next segment, and this is a recurring segment here on the Primetime Podcast. It's not as often as I thought it was, but this is the second time this year that we're talking about it. This is the third time since last year that we are talking about it in individual segments, but the Texas A&M preview, we talked about it. When we talked about coaching hot seats both last year and this year, we talked about it. And that is the firing of Kevin Sumlin, or should he be fired following the loss to UCLA, coming back from 30-some points down. This is how many times we've talked about it, Brandon. We talked about it 3 months ago when we talked about coaching hot seats. Later that month, I talked about it, whether or not he'll survive this upcoming season. We talked about it last year when we talked coaching hot seats to start the season. We talked about it 2 months ago when we previewed the A&M Aggies, and we also talked about it a year ago with really the same title. This is what, doesn't irk me, but it's funny. Last year, will Texas A&M fire Kevin Sumlin after 2016 season? This year, will Texas A&M fire Kevin Sumlin after 2017? We have to talk about this every single year, almost every 3 months. And the reason why is there was a member of the Board of Regents for Texas A&M, long Facebook quote. I'm not going to read all of it, but the part that stuck out to me that I'm going to read here, and I quote, "But tonight I am very disappointed, and I have to say this. Kevin Sumlin was outcoached tonight, which isn't new. He recruits well, but can't coach the big games or the close games. Our players were better tonight. Our players were more talented tonight, but our coaches were dominated on national television yet again. I'm only one vote on the Board of Regents, but when the time comes, my vote will be that Kevin Sumlin needs to go." And Brandon, I'm going to ask you this question yet again, like I ask you every few months it seems. Will Kevin Sumlin survive the UCLA comeback loss?
Well, Ricky, right now Kevin Sumlin is doing the stop, drop, and roll, and the fire department is on the way to hose him down because this man, the seat got so hot. I mean, he caught fire, and right now, Kevin Sumlin, I'm sorry. I think that if I was the athletic director and I saw a team that was up 44-10 over a good UCLA team late in the third quarter, and then I saw in front of my eyes the debacle of then losing 45-44 and being outscored 35-0, I'd probably have a stroke and I'd fire him. Because, and not just because of this night, but because of 8-5, 8-5, 8-5, what has seemed to be Kevin Sumlin's theme. And I had said earlier in one of those videos that we did, is that I don't believe that if he goes 8-5 yet again this season, that they'll fire him, because that's just kind of been his theme for the past couple of years now. But when you've gone 8-5 and it's been mediocre and you're already on the hot seat, and you allow a team to blow the lead like this, and that is incredible. That is incredible. I could not believe it. I didn't watch a minute of this game. But when I saw that was the final score, that's frickin' terrible. And Kevin Sumlin, because of this, and because of everything else that's happened, and kind of what that Board of Regents member points to, him trying to negotiate, manipulate a big contract extension for what this board member says is, continued mishandling of situations with quarterbacks. And he mentions his arrogance and things like that. Recruiting classes of guys that were committed or were going to come there, and then key players leaving the school. Kevin Sumlin's got to go now. And it's because of this game. Not entirely. But because you're already on the hot seat, You've been sitting on it for the last couple of seasons, and then this game happens. This is like the last thing. This is like the last thing that you needed or didn't need to have happen. And it does happen. I think he's got to go because this just sets the tone for the season, and it's not a good tone to be set.
Well, and one thing I want to read, I got to throw a bone to one of our commenters searching for myself because this made me laugh when he said, I predict he will be fired by 12 p.m. noon tomorrow, September 4th, 2017. That was the worst effort I've seen any team put on in the second half of that game. Sumlin blows, and he should have been gone a year or more ago. He won't make it till October 15th, even if he survives this week. And for me, I feel like a broken record every time we talk about this because I have been adamantly on the side of fire Kevin Sumlin. Fire Kevin Sumlin, get him out. Because to me, ever since 2013, he hasn't had the stuff to get you anywhere, either in the college football ranks to the college football playoff or even in the SEC. And the reason why I say that and the reason why 2012 and 2013 I push off to the side and I put it on its own is because he had a special quarterback. Do you remember what that quarterback's name was, Brandon?
I believe it was Money Manziel.
Money Manziel, or Johnny Football, he was that good. We gave him a nickname. You usually don't get nicknames unless you're really good or really bad. Like Johnny Football in college, good. Mark Butt Fumbling Sanchez, bad. That's two examples I have. Like, you have the 2012 season, loses to number 24 Florida by 3, loses to number 6 LSU. But that year, because of Manziel, great performance, wins Alabama. Beats Mississippi State, both of those on the road. Beats Oklahoma in the Cotton Bowl. 2013, this is the beginning of the end. Loses to number 1 Alabama on CBS. Loses to 24. You were number 7 at the time, too. Loses to 24 Auburn on national television, CBS. Loses at number 18 LSU. You were number 9 at the time, 34-10. That was on CBS. And on ESPN, loses at number 5 Missouri. That Missouri team was good, though, before beating Duke in the Chick-fil-A Bowl. And then, there's more. Yeah, you beat number 9 South Carolina, but South Carolina, to me, that was okay. You got them, you beat them, but then you lose to Mississippi State, you lose to number 3 Ole Miss, you lose to number 7 Alabama. 2015, yeah, you beat Arizona State, but they weren't anywhere near an SEC team. You beat Mississippi State, but they were kind of on the decline. Lose to Alabama, lose to Ole Miss. And then last season, you beat UCLA. Josh Rosen was not himself last year, especially when he was injured. You lose to Alabama, you lose to LSU, you lose to Ole Miss, you lose to Mississippi State. This game was everything about Kevin Sumlin wrapped up into one, where it was hot start like last season. You start off, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 wins, and then you win 2 of your last 6. So it's we're 6-0. Oh, now we're 2-5 to end the season. So, that's to me, this is what you get when you're Kevin Sumlin. Maybe a hot start, but then it fizzles off once it hits its apex.
Yeah, well, this is completely different because this is not a hot start.
No, I'm talking about the game. Hot start to get that big lead, and then they blew it.
Yeah.
That's what this game symbolizes everything about Kevin Sumlin.
But this is what's even worse, too, is, we talked about Texas earlier. Mm-hmm. Texas lost 51-41. That wasn't great. They lost by 10, but they were in the game, for a good amount of the time. And it's that's going to happen and stuff like that. But this is different. This is different. You had it. With Texas, it's not like they were up by a ton. They had to try and come back from what was 21-7 and all that stuff. And then they were, it was like kind of a back and forth thing. Here, it was all A&M. It was all A&M. Not a chance in hell that UCLA was coming back. Wrong. And I would love to be able to say that this is all on Josh Rosen. which let's not let him get lost in this mix. I mean, he ends up throwing for what, 491 yards, 4 touchdowns, something just absolutely ridiculous, but outstanding for him because it really continues to kind of put him on the map and really puts him on the map because Darnold had a terrible day.
Yeah.
So that really puts him on the map. But the defense for A&M, brutal. And I say brutal, but it really all happened in the third and then fourth quarter. And then there was no offense then being played. I know their starting quarterback went down. Kicker missed a big backup kicker, actually, because their starting kicker got hurt. They had a really tough go of it with injuries. But Braden Mann missed a critical 43-yard field goal in the fourth quarter. And it was just not good. It was just not good. I mean, there's really nothing wonderful to say about this game right now on the Texas A&M side. And, you just hate to say absolutely after week 1 that a coach should be fired. But after week 1, this coach should be fired because we don't just talk about this week. We look back at the last couple of seasons, and Kevin Sumlin could still end up 8-5 this year. His team could end up 8-5 this year. But the point is that they should have started 1-0. No doubt about it. But he couldn't even put that game away. And people will say, well, he wasn't the one playing out on the field. You're up 44-10. You should have won that game. You were out-coached from the third quarter on. And it is time for a change because that just can't happen. Not week 1, not ever. And I understand it's going to happen. We saw other stuff like that happen. We saw Baylor go down to a team that who would have thought Liberty
underdogs.
Liberty beats Baylor. We saw UNLV lose to who was it that they played $600,000 to play? I can't even remember. It's something with a W, I thought.
I'm looking it up.
All right.
Keep going. I gotcha.
But that's another one. So it's going to happen.
Howard. Howard from New York.
Yeah, I was right. Something with a W. There's a W in the middle of that name. But it happens when there's an upset, but 44-10. And with so much heat already on Sumlin, now a board member who has never come out before about Sumlin has apparently been the only board member, according to them, the only board member that's ever spoken up in any meetings that Kevin Sumlin needed to go, that only had concerns about him as the head coach. But now to write a post on Facebook where people know who you are, Kevin Sumlin knows who you are and that you did this, that's driven them to the edge. And I think it's probably helped other board members to see, hey, if we weren't worried about it before, we're worried about it now. It's just, it's a problem, and I think that Texas A&M certainly now has to go in a new direction.
And the thing that just I don't understand with the situation is, when is enough enough? When is it? Because I get it. When you look at the records, 8-5, 8-5, 8-5, those are technically winning records. But is your goal to have a winning record at the end of the day? Or is your goal as a football team to win the SEC, which, I'm sorry, 3-5 and 4-4 in the conference is just not going to do? Is that your goal, to not finish first in the SEC? And then because you're not doing that, that means you don't want to go to you don't even want to go to the college football playoff, let alone win a national title, because you got to go to the college football playoff even to have the chance to play for a national title. I just don't get what the deal is, because I look at, and of course this is a complete opposite reaction, but look at Charlie Strong with Texas. 6-7, 5-7, 5-7. 2 5-7 years. I know that's less than 8-5, but it took 2 of those for the Texas Longhorns to go, nah, you're not the coach for us, and kick you out of town. And get someone like Tom Herman, who, yes, team had a bad week 1. We talked about that earlier, but the future is still high for the Longhorns with the kind of track record that Tom Herman has with his other institutions. With Kevin Sumlin, it's like I feel like most of the, I don't want to put words in the regent's mouths, but I feel like the athletic department for sure, because they have the decision. The athletic department could come out today and go, "You're gone, you're fired, get the hell out of here." But I feel like mediocrity and just 8-5 and just keep the winning record and get into a bowl game, that's all you care about, because that is what you are showing me. Actions speak louder than words. You can say one thing, but if you're going to keep him around at 8-5, 8-5, 8-5, you're telling me exactly what I said. Did we go to a bowl game, winning record? All right, good for us.
So, Ricky, what happens from here?
I fire him.
No, you would. But what do you think happens from here?
I do not think he will get fired this week. He did not get, nothing came out today that he was fired. So I think he has the job right now, but I would think it'd be ludicrous, absolutely ludicrous to think that the athletic department for Texas A&M isn't on edge. Not on edge, but okay, maybe we should look into this kind of thing. We should keep it because, Nichols, they should probably beat Nichols. Louisiana, they should beat Louisiana. But this SEC schedule, if you lose to either Arkansas or South Carolina, get them out. I'd fire them. I'd even fire them if you lose. Alabama, Florida, Auburn, big games. I think that there's a possibility he could survive the entire season before getting fired. I would say if he loses Arkansas, South Carolina, one of those games, he's gone right there, and then that week they'll promote one of the coordinators up to interim head coach. But if he gets past Florida and Alabama, then I think they'll just keep him for the rest of the year, fire him at the end of the season, so that then they can do a proper coaching search for a new coach.
Nick Starkel, freshman quarterback, and senior safety Donovan Wilson, along with their junior kicker Daniel LaCamera, all injured, and for the first two, possibly done for the season. So that doesn't help things to make things any brighter in the future for Kevin Sumlin here at Texas A&M.
No, it doesn't. And to me, I would fire him right now, just let an interim coach take over, and then that way outside coaches know this job is open. It is open, and we are looking for that replacement to hire in the offseason. Like I said, I don't understand when enough will be enough. What do you think is going to play out? Do you think he gets fired in the middle of the season? Do you think it happens after the year?
I think he gets fired in the middle of the season. We've seen people get fired in the middle of the season for less, I feel like. I wasn't saying it before because this hadn't happened. If he just went through and they, did their same usual thing, you win the majority of your games and you lose these couple over here. Well, you did some good things, you had some tough games, but you ended up 8-5 again, or 9-4, whatever. He stays. But because it's been 8-5 for too long, and it's been mediocre for too long, then to have this, which just shows what you can be, and then kind of like what you are, it would be an eye opener for me as the athletic director to say, this just can't happen. This just flat out cannot happen, and we have to move in a different direction. But at the same time, knowing who do you have that's going to come in, if anybody, because you can't really, it's going to be tough if you wanted to bring in a head coach.
Yeah.
Not even mid-season. You would have to promote a coordinator for right now, but it's just really, it puts you in a really tough position, but I think he gets fired during the season. No,
I would say I would put most of my money on that only because, especially after what the one Board of Regents has already said, once that wildfire started, now that it's out there, like you said, and there's a name to it, the fans now catch on to it. The AD, he's for sure knowing about this. There's no way he's blowing over saying, no, I haven't heard anything about that. Now this is where Aggie fans, hopefully you get the change that I have been calling for the past 2 seasons.
It's just like when you have a board member who publicly takes to social media, you know it's bad. You know it's bad.
Well, and this is where I want to turn it on to you guys. Aggie fans, let us know what you guys think down below. From what I've seen in the early comments on some of our older videos, you guys aren't happy. Let us know what you guys are thinking down below in the comment section. Does he get fired at the end of the year? Does he not get fired at all? Does he get fired in the middle of the season? Let us know in the comment section.